All right. Look, I just want to really show you guys how completely arbitrary some of these rules when it comes to this virus, definitely government in general. It's not just government, but of course government, because they have the power in the sense to force people to do things. Whereas the others maybe don't, but there are people that support this nonsensical idea, or more so inconsistent ideas as it pertains to this virus. I have mentioned before, I don't think I mentioned this on YouTube, except on my streams, but I was going to be participating in a event called Mobilize 2020. Now, this event, of course, was thrown by the Young Americans for Liberty. I've done events with them before. They are great people. They do great work, existing in in the political space as well as out of it, but certainly in the political space and trying to work towards a freer society. And I was going to be a speaker there. This is the flyer. It's going to be a lot of people. Both Pauls are going to be there, Massey and Amash. You had, along with myself, you had even Glenn Jacobs was going to be there, a.k.a. Kane, the Big Red Machine. Lots of others that were going to be there. Kennedy, I think I mentioned Matt Kibbe, of course. It was going to be a great Jeff Dice of Mises Institute, which I'm wearing actually a hat. It was going to be a fun event, and it was going to exist here in Dallas. That event is not happening any longer. The city of Dallas canceled the event 3 days before it was about to start. You know that this has happened kind of before. This article right here, of course, mentions is similar to the Republican Party of Texas convention also being canceled. Cliff spoke, who is the president of Yale. He also says Dallas waited until we had students, elected officials, and investors on their way on our stations and banners were in the parking lot of the Omni Hotel before canceling it. Of course, 1,400 students coming across, so it's going to be a decent-sized event. And I don't really give a damn about how you feel about us linking up. Really, I'm not even here to dispute that with you. I've got plenty of videos. I think that at some point in time there is going to have to be some civil disobedience. And this, I propose that we had the event anyway, and go tell them to go screw themselves. But I understand why people don't want to deal with that commotion with the government and those sorts of issues. So the event is not going to be happening anymore. But more so, what I want to discuss today is this hypocrisy by way of the city of Dallas and their government. But also, more importantly, again, the people that will comment on this type of stuff and be blatantly inconsistent. I've caught probably 5 of them just in the last hour, and them responding to my tweet saying that the event was canceled. You get weirdos like this. He quote tweeted me, he says, "We're in a effing pandemic." Obviously co-signing the fact that the event is canceled. Disagreeing with my sentiment as far as it being canceled. Of course, he disagrees with that. He likes the fact that it's canceled because I don't want it. And he says, we're in an effing pandemic. So all I did was use the great technology that Twitter has at our disposal. And I just tweeted the word protest. Look for it. Search for it. Excuse me. The word protest. With on this guy's page. And oh, well, look what do we have here. Says, I will bring water and milk to the Fort Worth protest tomorrow. So it ain't even just that he co-signed or supports the protest. There's plenty of material on him doing that. More importantly, he participated in it. So, as I've said, and a lot of other people have pointed out when they talk about confirmed cases, why I said that if you didn't think the government, you should have long knew the government was compromised. But for sure, the medical and science community has been long compromised, as they were used to sort of not only say that. This is what happened actually. Let's backtrack just a little bit. Post George Floyd, all these protests go out. You've seen hospital workers outside, PPE just clapping, cheering on the protesters. Basically, they were going against everything that they had been lecturing us regarding social distancing. And then they use those experts to say, well, they didn't contribute to the spread at all, which is something that these guys always look to and say, well, look at these confirmed cases. It's rising. Oh, my God, pull out your hair. Crazy things, right? But basically, they use those experts to validate them being together in large groups. And then they turn around and say, well, it's not okay for you. You've seen people probably bring up the fact that they've had funerals, that they had been limited in terms of having people, the amount of people there. And then they spit in your face and then the congressman dies and they link up there. That's fine, right? But perhaps what's happening around the country more often is the protest. 60 days straight in like places like Portland, right? That's fine. You can do that. God forbid you link up at an event to, and this is happening over the course of 3 days. So you're going to see all those people. Again, this is the city of Dallas already mandates masks. So if you thought the mask make you immune, which it doesn't, they would have forced y'all to be wearing masks anyway. And that's already a Texas mandate by way of that. I almost called him something that would have got me demonetized, but by way of that guy by the name of Governor Abbott. Well, that guy. So, what we actually have here, though, is just blatant hypocrisy. What they have deemed is okay to link up for is just that. If they don't want you to link up, got guys like Judge Clay Jenkins, which clearly has a political slant, by the way. These guys say that is fine. You can link up, you can go protest, do all those and do other different things as well. But what you can't do is link up, let's say in other terms. So check this out. I want y'all to keep in mind that Dallas had our own forms of protest as well. This is in the city of Dallas, right? In the city. So this is the same city in which the event was going to be held. So in the city of Dallas, I'm showing you right now a video of one of the protests that took place. And there definitely that right after George Floyd, you saw all these people across the nation linking up a protest. That city of Dallas was one of those. It wasn't the only city in the DFW Metroplex. We do have a Metroplex. Even the city where I actually live at up north had a long line of protesters going all across this main street. And they were deep, man. But that's a different city. This right here is the city, right? And of course, there's plenty of videos and all that of these people linking up. I know people think of the mask as immunity. As you can see, there are plenty of people in this crowd that actually don't have masks. That person there doesn't have a mask. This guy has one over his neck. She doesn't have one. All these. So it's not just, if you want to talk about the mask and stuff like that, it's not even just masks. They don't wear those either, right? Some of them do, some of them don't. So if that was what you were afraid of, even though, again, I'm almost 100, no, I'm not almost 100%, I am 100% positive that there would have been people wearing masks at this event. So this was fine. But our event, which I'd argue that we'd be spread further apart and actually social distancing. That can't happen. It's completely arbitrary, guys. And then you have, again, people like this who he himself is a hypocrite. It's a couple of them we caught on the Twitter. And I quote tweeted. It's like, oh, it's interesting. You're against this, or more so against this idea that people link up, of course, that you disagree with politically, because of a pandemic. He didn't give a damn about the pandemic once it came to these protests, which, again, the virus doesn't decipher that. Oh, well, it's a Black Lives Matter protest. I can't infect you guys. Oh, let's go over here with these liberty-minded people over here, and we'll infect them. The virus, no. So if it was going to spread, and again, I'm just using y'all's argument. I'm not even one of those making the argument that you know, nobody it's freaking out. Let's say at all cases, I've already been under the assumption that most people are going to get this regardless, right? That's all I'm already operating when it comes to this virus. So it is what it is. This is why I think you got 6 months. If you ain't got it figured out, hospitals not prepared, which of course they're about as prepared as they ever going to be. Then it is what it is. Let the chips fall where they may. If you want to stay your behind home, if you want to continue the social distancing, if businesses want to require people to wear masks privately in their institutions, require people to social distance, that's their right. But these lockdowns is nonsense. But it's completely arbitrary. Is more so what I'm pointing out. And there's a bunch of hypocrites on this particular issue. So again, I don't care about whether or not you agree with us linking up and talking liberty. That's fine. But that's not the point. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. So even by a lot of these guys' standards, and it's easy. You go to the quote tweets, you go look at the people who had something to say or people that responded to that tweet that I had something to say against it, and then you go type in protest, or you go look at their timeline and you can see them green either authorizing, supporting, or actively being in protests, which have hundreds, thousands of people linking up together. That's fine. But people linking up doing something that they, let's say, disagree with from a political standpoint, they don't want that. It's completely arbitrary. Your bogus leaders in government have shown that they're going to be inconsistent on this particular issue, and we need to stop pretending like that ain't the case, because that's exactly what it is. This was happening. So I just wanted to do this video to point that out, because I thought that because they were acting like it was going to be perfectly fine, and then they just came. Again, it's happening this week, and they said, "Nah, you can't have it." I'm like, huh. That's interesting. And I knew people that were on the other side politically were going to be like, well, no, of course you can't have it. Good. You guys won't spread the virus. And then you go look on their timeline or something like that, and they authorizing and participating in protests. That's fine. Encouraging protests. Linking up in those groups is fine. Linking up with people talking liberty is not. It's blatant hypocrisy.